Hello, everyone. You're watching All About the W, your weekly deep dive into the WSL. But this time around, what we're doing is putting out an introductory video on the Asian Cup. So, Ash and I have been hard at work for the last few days, collating information about all the different teams, all the 12 teams that are there in the 2026 Asian Cup. It's been a bit of a journey for us because obviously we're not super familiar with all the teams. Obviously, we're familiar with maybe some of the players from the Japanese team, some from the Australian team, and of course the Indian team. But beyond that, it's been a bit of a learning curve for us. So hopefully, you take something away from this video as well. But before we get started with the video, a reminder to all of you out there, if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. So Ash and I on All About the W, what we usually do is do reviews and previews and take different kinds of deep like we do deep dives into different aspects of English women's football as well as European football, the Champions League. So that's what we usually do. Of course, we are hoping to expand on that a little bit. So do subscribe and keep an eye out for all the content that we do put out there. And if you are a regular, of course, you know what we do. Hop on this journey into the Asia Cup with us because, I hope you guys are as excited as we are about this. If you're not, hopefully we can spread some of that excitement because, Ash, tell me, how does it feel to have India in this competition?
Oh my God, I am so excited. We're in a tough group. I'm not gonna lie, but it'd be just nice to do a watch along and uh, like uh, support the country that we're actually from. Because we've been doing so many like Euro watch alongs and stuff like that, and we just have to like pick a country we like because of players and stuff. Now this is like our time.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm nervous, and I feel like a part of my brain is saying we have to be a bit realistic here,
Yeah.
but I'm just like what, screw that. I'm a fan. I will be a fan.
Yeah.
I'll be happy. I'll be sad. I'll be angry, and all of that. All right. For those who don't know, the AFC Women's Asia Cup, formerly known as the Women's Championship. It happens once every 4 years now. I think initially it used to happen once every 2 years, like the women's AFCON. But it's for the national teams that are in the Asian Football Confederation. It's one of the oldest women's international football competition, and what we have here in 2026 is the 21st edition of the competition. So most of the competitions between 1991 and 2006 to 2026, apologies, also served as the Asian qualifying tournament for the FIFA Women's World Cup as well. So that's something that's at stake in this competition, and a lot of teams, I'm sure, are keeping their eye out for that as well. All right, Ash, let's dive right in. So, okay, before another little caveat. So basically, what we've done is we've done proper 50-50 division of labor here. And Ash will take us through Group A and half of Group B, and I will do the rest. So there'll be a bit of one person talking a lot, so bear with us. But Group A has Australia, Iran, South Korea, as well as the Philippines. All right, Ash, let's start with Australia, the host nation. Tell us about them.
Okay, Australia. And I'm going to go really quick because, I don't want this video to be like a gazillion minutes. As it is, I find it hard to stay on topic. Okay, Australia. So their FIFA ranking is 15, which personally I think might be slightly unfair. They're managed by Joe Montemuro, who everyone knows is the or may not know, is the previous manager of Lyon. Quite a storied manager in women's football in that sense. Their history in the competition. So Australia have a rather complicated history with the Asian Cup, primarily because there was some debate over whether they compete with and in Asia or should be categorized in Oceania with their own competition. So in 1975, they competed in the AFC Women's Football Championship, which is the previous iteration of the Asian Cup, and they came third. Then they weren't a member in 1977, and then again came back to be third in 1980. And then from 81 to 2003, they competed in Oceania's Women's Nations Cup. Wow, that's a mouthful. Um, uh, and basically were geographically confused about where they belong. They returned
Yeah.
quite gloriously as runners up in 2006, became champions in 2010, and then runners up in 2014 and 2018. So that is their performance historically. Their recent performances. Okay, so Australia didn't have to play qualifiers for this tournament because they are obviously the host nation. In the recent international past, they have played two friendlies against New Zealand, winning 5-0 and 2-0, as well as a friendly against England, which they lost 3-0. So, style of play. So, the Matildas were earlier known to be a quick transition, long ball playing team, but under Joe Montemurro, we are seeing more possession based football with side to side overloads, passing out from the back. They haven't seriously competed under Montemurro, so it remains to be seen what team comes out. But they have versatile players who can play various styles, and in my mind, they're probably the favorites for this competition, considering that they're also the host country.
Oh, that's quite a shout. I think, yeah, I think I'm also really curious to see how they play under Montemuro because we've obviously not seen that enough. I think the reason this tournament in Australia does excite me quite a bit is because when the World Cup happened, it was a huge spectacle. So maybe Australia can take the team can take some heart from that and some motivation from that as well. All right, the next team, Iran. Let's
Okay,
go.
Iran. FIFA ranking 68, just below India, by the way. Manager Marzia Jafari. History in the competition. The first time they qualified was in 2022, where they came third in Group A, above India, mind you. This is their second go around in the tournament. Recent performances. In the qualifiers for this tournament, Iran qualified at the top of Group A. They beat Singapore 4-0, Bhutan 7-1, Jordan 2-1, but lost to Lebanon 3-1. Style of play. They play a defensive style, mostly focused on a low to mid block, and frustrate their opponents. However, this also means that they struggle to score, playing so deep in their own half. So their coach, Marzia Jafari, is actually a pretty highly decorated Iranian manager, having won 11 championship titles in the Iranian league. So pretty impressive from what I've heard.
That is very impressive. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really like you did say they sit in a bit deep. I feel like they listen when you're the lowest ranked team.
Yeah.
Every group is gonna feel a bit tough, but I really hope they manage to. In big tournaments, what I want to see is like an underdog score a couple of
Yeah.
goals
Yeah.
and have their moment. But I mean, listen, you never know. It's football. If they defend well and score a couple of goals here and there, they could potentially finish as those two spots that you have as the two best third place team in different groups. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, Ash, South Korea, quite a storied team in Asia.
Yeah, I mean, some would might describe them as somewhat chokers. Okay, so their FIFA ranking is 21, which is deceptive. But their manager Shin Sang Woo has come under very difficult circumstances after the sacking of their previous manager. So in this competition, they have a storied history of failing while succeeding. So they debuted in 91 and they got third place in 2003. Then they were runners up in 2022. They have qualified for 8 finals without winning. So maybe it's about time.
Yeah.
Recent performances. So they didn't have to play qualifiers because they were in the top three as runners up in 2022. They are the current East Asia Football Federation champions, beating both China and Japan to the title. I'm sure that gives them a lot of happiness, especially beating Japan. Um,
Mm.
Style of play. So their manager is a former defender, and they are also taking cue from him. They're quite tactically flexible, but defensively compact and organized. They rely on long balls into the box or through balls to a target person, mostly the striker. there has been some upheaval preceding the tournament, with players alleging poor and discriminatory conditions. Players having to pay for kits and airport transfers from their own pocket, having to travel long, grueling journeys, and bad accommodation. They were initially planning to boycott the tournament, but apparently they've put all that behind them. And I hope that the whatever's happening behind the scenes doesn't affect their performance on the scene, because like, I want them to get as far in the competition as possible because they're a really good team. And obviously you have players from the NWSL, etc., a lot of famous
Yeah.
Korean players, so it's time for them to shine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like this is something that happens with international tournaments, especially in women's football. It does to some extent happen in men's football as well, but you always have these stories coming out, right?
Yeah,
In terms of how uneven the playing field is,
yeah,
not just because of different countries' interest in football that obviously is varied,
yeah,
but the absolute lack of investment from the federation comparatively, with the men's team and the women's team.
yeah.
Like stuff like that always kind of pops out. It's unfortunate, but making into a major tournament, like you also get to tell your story
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I
in
was
some
saying.
ways.
That, the best time to do labor organizing is when there are eyeballs on you, there's an international tournament.
Yeah.
Like, you can get your point across and be heard, and then the country has to do something just so they don't look like in a sorry place, because the federations
Yeah, like a
obviously.
saving face exercise
Yeah,
at the very least needs to be done.
yeah.
All right. Uh, let's move on to the Philippines.
Yeah, Philippines is actually quite an exciting team. So they're 41st in the rankings with Mark Torcaso as manager. And they had their debut in 91, but the furthest they've gone into this competition is the semi-finals in 2022, and they were 6th place in 2018. But, they've been on a little bit of a run of form recently, because they qualified as top of Group G, beating Saudi Arabia 3-0, Cambodia 6-0, and Hong Kong 1-0. They are fresh off winning gold at the 33rd Southeast Asian Games. And there's a lot of buzz around this team, especially domestically. So I'm excited for them. Like, I think it's a very similar story to India, where, like, domestically there's just a lot of, like, excitement over the team, over players, and over qualification. So I think they will, like, they could be somebody who gives, say, South Korea a run for their money.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Let's move on to Group B. Very excited about this one. Bangladesh, one of the two countries from South Asia. Go on. Let's hear about them.
Bangladesh. I feel Bangladesh is also in one of those South Korea type you know, places in life. So its FIFA ranking is 112th, and its manager is Peter Butler. Now, so Bangladesh have played their first international game in any competition only in 2010, before which they didn't have a proper women's team. So, given that history, it is commendable that for the first time ever they have qualified for the group stage. Like, hopefully Bangladesh have a good going in their debut in a rather difficult group. So recent performances in 2024, Bangladesh claimed their second South Asian Football Federation SAFF title, beating Nepal. And after their first SAFF title in 2022, this was considered a golden era for Bangladeshi football, because they won in 22 and they won in 24. However, that all sort of came to a standstill because of allegations of inappropriate behavior by manager Peter Butler in 25. Several players, including striker Sabina Khatun, refused to play for him. Unfortunately, Sabina and four others were dropped, and Peter Butler continues to be manager of a divided dressing room. In the qualifiers, they topped Group C, beating Bahrain 7-0, Myanmar 2-1, and Turkmenistan 7-0. So clearly, all this behind the scenes problems are not creating any issues with their form. So hopefully that
Yeah.
means bears out well for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever I've read about Peter Butler, it's it's always disheartening to see these kinds of issues, like basically him wanting to renew the squad a little bit, and sort of pushing out some
The
older
older
players and
players.
things like that. So that's been the biggest bone of contention there, I think. So I mean, I'm glad some of the players have managed to come make their way back into the team. I think he was asked the question and he said something along the lines of him wanting like youth and experience,
Yeah.
and that's the balance he's been trying to
Yeah,
strike,
so
etc. But
of the players that the word was rebelled in that press conference, of the players,
Mhm.
9 of them have made it back to the team, and these four, including Khatun, have been dropped.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just so funny, like a British manager saying, "Oh, one of the
Yeah.
players rebelled."
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, I'm assuming he's British, but anyway, all right. Let's move on to China. I mean, quite the team. I'm sure one of the teams to beat for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. China, I think, one of the favorites for this competition, also called the Steel Roses, which I love. Their FIFA ranking is 17, and their manager is Ante Milicic, another somewhat storied manager in women's football, having taken the Matildas to the World Cup in 2019. Uh, so China are historically the most successful team in this competition. They have been champions in 86, 89, 91, 93, 95, 97, 99, 2006 and 2022, which is insane. They have never been less than semi-finalists with the lowest finish of 4th place. They are
Wow.
obviously the favorites in this group, like undoubtedly in my head. So, as defending champions, they did not have to play qualifiers for this tournament. So, their recent form in the qualifiers can't be said. But this year, they have played 2 friendlies against Vietnam, finishing 2-0 and 6-1 to China. And last year, they lost 3-2 to Scotland and 8-0 to England. Okay, so we obviously know that Milicic, being the having started his journey as assistant to a certain Ange Postecoglou, he plays a quick, attacking, forward-thinking, direct, high-pressing football style, right? Unfortunately, this means you can lose 8-0 to England in a friendly, but it's still worth pursuing if China wants to continue being that dominant force in this competition and blow teams away, which I reckon is their ambition as defending champions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know what I like about this is obviously we've been looking at like the different countries and the friendlies that they've played recently, and I like the fact that China have played England, who are well European champions and like World Cup finalists and whatnot,
Yeah.
as well as Scotland, who are like a team that's essentially in Group B in the UEFA Nations League. Uh, um, like in terms of where they stand, and it's really good to see that they've actually gone out there and tried to play different sorts of team before this Asian Cup to get some experience and exposure to different kinds of football, which is good for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I'm really intrigued by this Ange Postecoglou detail. For viewers and listeners who are new to the channel, Ash is a Tottenham Hotspur fan, and therefore the little shout out to Ange Postecoglou.
Yes, I could not resist when I saw it on his CV. Anyway, Kai, I will hand over to you with North Korea, the Korea in the North, the
Yeah.
DPR one.
Mm-hmm. The DPR one, yeah. All right. So North Korea is really interesting. Like their FIFA ranking is 9, and they place just below Japan and above Canada. And everywhere I've read, people have spoken a little bit about why their ranking is as it is, and the two interesting things that have popped up is one is their historic success, and the second, and there's something Alex Bishop pointed out. He reports from Asia, and he said how North Korea have they basically don't have home games, and essentially is a closed country, right? So all the games basically happen at neutral venues or are considered away games, which basically gives you more points as opposed to winning a home game, which was very interesting to me because I honestly have no idea how FIFA rankings and points are sort of calculated. But the point is a very interesting team. I think probably a very difficult team to go up against, given um, maybe how little access people have to footage and things like that. And most of their players obviously play domestically because of economic sanctions, etc. So you basically some feel like you can't help but feel like teams are going to go in a bit blind here. Their manager is Ri Song Ho, and they have won this competition three times. They debuted in the competition in 1989, and their last appearance was in 2010. Now, this story, like I promise, this is gonna go on a little longer for North Korea because it's just hilarious. Um, so they had basically had a doping scandal that hit the team in 2011, and this was in the World Cup that happened in Germany, and they were handed a 4-year ban. So the story is this: um, it's basically that 5 players tested positive for a banned substance, and North Korea's response to this was the 5 players who tested positive were struck by lightning, and they used a traditional method of treatment which involved taking something from glands of a musk deer, which apparently has this controlled substance, and therefore they tested positive for this controlled substance. And FIFA were like, no, nothing doing. We're not going to let this slide. And of course, um, uh, after the ban, then they had a mix of like failing to qualify for major tournaments and COVID. Uh, because of which there's been a bit of a hibernation at the senior level for well over a decade. But we've seen the success of the youth teams that the youth teams have had recently. So they are the under 17 and under 20 World Cup winners. So this success at the youth level has not really translated to the senior level in the recent times. Um, and a lot of like pundits who follow women's football closely say that that's probably because in recent times other leagues, clubs, and countries are investing more and more in women's football. So one of the reasons why North Korea is such a formidable opponent is because all their players play domestically and they train together a lot more than most of the other teams. So which brings me to their style of play. So good, they have like really good technical skills on the ball, and they're very organized and they play possession-based football. But at the same time, they're very, very pragmatic as well. For example, I think again, I'm sort of borrowing from Alex Bishop here, who said if they're ahead in a game, they have no qualms sort of falling back, falling deep, and staying in shape and being very, very hard to break down. So they're very adaptive in terms of their tactics based on game state as well as opposition. Um, so, in terms of recent performances, because they are a higher ranked team, they drew really weak teams in the qualifiers and smashed them like 10-0, as they did against Tajikistan and Palestine in the qualifiers. And leading up to the Asian Cup, and Malaysia also, I think they beat recently 6-0. So
Yeah.
they've had a couple of friendlies. I didn't really have access to the information, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they have
very, very
in the like earlier in the Summer Olympics qualifiers, they have beaten China. So it's not like they've never like they play China pretty often. They played South Korea also recently. So
yeah,
like I feel like they always have a good showing against their like fellow Asian juggernauts. So I feel like this is a
yeah,
team to watch
absolutely,
out for.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Kai. The next team is Uzbekistan. All I know is the under 17 played India and India beat them by one goal. But
Okay.
take us through Uzbekistan.
Okay, so Uzbekistan are ranked 49th in the FIFA ranking. So they have been out of the tournament for 23 years. So from 95 to 2003, they consistently played in the competition but have not played since then. In 1999 as well as 2001, they were like the third best second place team, but they never really made it to the knockout stages of the competition. And I think in terms of the qualification process, this one was probably the most fun. But I mean, very tough for Uzbekistan. For fans, it was fun. But they really had a tough route because they were in Group F of the qualifiers with Nepal, Laos, and Sri Lanka. Um,
Yeah, Nepal is a
and
good team. Uh,
Yeah, so basically what happened was Nepal and Uzbekistan finished with the exact same number of points, goal difference, goals for, and obviously goals against. And basically they said, okay, now we're going to decide a winner through a penalty shootout, which for Uzbekistan, they fortunately won. Um, they have a young manager in Katrina Kulbaita. She's 33 years old. She's Lithuanian, and she has like experience coaching boys youth teams and she also has like experience in club football. She was the assistant manager for the Lithuanian women's senior team for a little while. I think what stands out in terms of how Uzbekistan play is their defensive organization, um, especially against like tough oppositions like China and North Korea. I think that will come in really handy. Um, they've played India, Iran, and Philippines in the recent times. They drew 2-2 against the Philippines and beat both India as well as Iran. So maybe they're feeling slightly confident coming into this competition. Um, in terms of playing some of those harder teams, they played China as well as South Korea in friendlies recently, but they lost by a fairly big margin. So I think the gap was quite evident in those games. Um, the interesting thing is Uzbekistan is going to host the same competition, well, in 2030, which I feel like whenever that happens, it kind of signals some kind of interest from the country, the federation, to invest more in women's football. So they'll be hosting the next iteration. We will for sure be seeing Uzbekistan in the next iteration as well.
yeah, yeah, hopefully. Uh, okay, Kai, Group C time. It is this group that we all want to know about because it is the group that has our home country, India, in it. Also has
Yeah.
Japan, Vietnam, and Chinese Taipei. Um, Take us through this group. While we'll start with Taipei.
Yeah. So Taipei are ranked 40th in the FIFA rankings. Uh, they're one of the most successful teams in the competitions. They've won the competition 3 times. They've been runners up twice, finished in the third place twice. So that's a strong showing in the competition, right? Like you'd think uh, they'd feel really confident coming into it. But all of this success came uh, like till 1999. So for a long period of time, they did not perform too well in the competition. Since then, like in terms of their recent performances, like their best finish in the competition was in India, where they did enter the knockout stage. Um, their manager is a Thai former Thai player. His name is Prasab Chokamor, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he served as a Thailand women's assistant coach during the 2010 Asian Cup. Said that he's focused on bringing together like a squad that has a good balance of youth and experience. Um, he also said that the goal is to do well in this tournament so that they have a shot at qualifying for the World Cup in Brazil. I think it's going to be a theme for a lot of these teams that know fairly well that they're not going to win the tournament itself, but you need to have realistic and maybe certainly like a bit of ambition in your goal. So that was positive. uh, Under him, basically, again, a team that is well organized and hard to break down. That is how they usually set up. The team also has like a couple of emerging stars who can be really fun to watch and attack. And if you want to know more about that, do check out our video. We will be coming up with one more video with all the one player to watch out for from each team. So we'll probably give a shout out in that video to some of those players. Um, in terms of their recent performances, they were one of the teams that competed in the Pinatar Cup in 2025. Basically, I'm pretty sure it's like a glorified friendly, like the She Believes Cup, but they played against China, Canada, and Mexico, and unfortunately lost all the matches by fairly big margins. But they had like a strong, like a qualifiers to the cup. I think they had a strong performance. They were in the same group as Pakistan, Indonesia, and Kyrgyzstan. won all three games with and finished the qualifiers with a plus 12 goal difference.
Wow,
So
plus 12 is
that's
insane.
that is good for them.
Yeah, I hope they do very badly.
uh,
Okay, Kai.
all right.
The next team, Vietnam. Another team I hope does very badly. I'm so biased for India right now.
Yeah, I was like, why is Ash like, is this a political position that you're taking? And that's when I realized, oh wait, India are in this group. I was quite confused for a second. All right. Okay, Vietnam, 36 in the world. This will be Vietnam's 10th appearance in the competition. They finished sixth in the 2014 and made it to the quarterfinals of the previous tournament. So they qualified to the 2023 World Cup because of that, and we did see them play in that World Cup in Australia, but obviously they exited the competition in the group stage. Um, I think if you look at all the teams here, I think Vietnam definitely fall squarely in that uh, middle of the pack teams in the whole competition. Um, their manager is Mai Duk Chung. He's been around for over a decade with the team, so he's been there for a long time. I don't know what that means for the team itself. Like sometimes you see managers who are around for a long time, and it just it just doesn't click. But sometimes just being having that kind of like relationship and chemistry could go a long way. For their qualifiers, they were in Group E with UAE, Guam, and Maldives. Won all three matches with a plus 17 goal difference. Um, they've basically prepped for the tournament playing friendlies against clubs in Japan, Vietnam, and Germany. And their coach mentioned that the next step for the team is to stay as a cohesive unit on the pitch in big games. He said that in the past, the failure has been the cohesion, in terms of how they defend and how they move as a team. Um, but also, like, you know, basically saying that the team can be much better in terms of passing as well as finishing. So their goal will be to make it out of the group first, if not like group as in like when I say group first, what I mean is like as like one of the third place teams. uh, but if not that, they could potentially finish second in the group as well. So yeah, I mean, definitely an interesting team to watch out for.
Yeah, I think. Do you reckon this is the group of death? Like India is the worst team in this group, but uh, otherwise, I know that Japan are far and away favorites, but
Yeah,
it's still a difficult-ish group, isn't it?
I think it is. I mean, I think Vietnam, in terms of their recent performances, like I saw a lot of people saying India should aim to beat Vietnam. And I was like,
What
I
world are
mean,
you
between
living in?
Vietnam and like Taipei, I would say try and beat Taipei,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But listen, you never know. I honestly, obviously, don't watch these teams enough to know, like, which tactics is better suited for India to play against, etc.,
yeah,
etc., etc. But we'll have to wait and see.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, the superstar team, the one that everybody's been waiting for, probably, the one that everyone's most familiar with, possibly, Japan. Kai, take us through.
Yeah. Yeah, Japan are the highest ranked team in terms of FIFA rankings in this tournament. They won the competition twice and reached the semifinals in 2022. They finished top four in the competition like a number of times. I kind of lost count almost. And the manager, they basically have a new manager now. I think it was post the 2024 Olympics that they hired Niels Nielsen, who obviously is a Danish coach, and he was a director of women's football at Manchester City before he joined Japan as the coach. So again, Japan not have to go through the qualifying stage of the Asian Cup because they had a top three finish in the 2022 tournament. But in terms of recent performances, I think one that probably stands out is the fact that they won the She Believes Cup. Now, like I know nobody takes the She Believes Cup seriously,
Yeah.
but they did beat USA 2-1. I thought that match was really. I thought Japan played really well in that match because I thought USA also like it was a tight
Yeah,
contest.
yeah.
But since then they've played two friendlies, um, like against Norway and Spain, and they've lost both of those games. Now, Ash mentioned earlier that South Korea are the EAFF champions, and that happened in July 2025, and Japan finished third there. Now, I was just very curious as to how this happened, and
Yeah.
I basically had a quick look at the squad, and I
Yeah.
realized Nielsen basically played like, I mean, I don't even know if I can call it a second
Yeah,
string
I think
team
it's like a
because,
Mickey Mouse trophy, isn't it?
and like I compared the two squads, and there are essentially four players who are in the same, like in
Yeah,
both the
yeah.
squads,
Yeah.
right? What that means is like, I mean, it just means this team has like an absurd amount of talent.
Yeah.
Like they play really good attacking football. They can be very organized. If you want to see to get a sense of how good, um, like how well organized and efficient Japan can be, check out the 2023 World Cup match between Japan and Spain, where I think Japan had like four shots on target and four goals and about 30% possession. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. Um, I mean, in my head, they're easily the favorites to win the tournament. Unless something goes terribly wrong, I think they will make the finals of the tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Plus, bonus points if they play Koga in every starting 11.
You know what? You
Yeah.
know what? I think Koga scored the winner in that She Believes Cup
Yeah, yeah,
final.
yeah, yeah, she did, she did. I brought it up when we signed her, when we were doing the transfers video.
Oh, okay, okay, cool.
Anyway, Kai, the moment only the two of us have been waiting for. India.
Yeah, so India are the 67th are ranked 67th in the FIFA World Cup. They're the third lowest placed team, ahead of Iran and Bangladesh. Now, India has had 10 appearances in the competition. If you count the withdrawal that happened in 2022 because of COVID, it's really unfortunate. It was a home tournament, and well, I think India had only like 13 players in the playing squad, and uh, well, that's not enough.
Yeah.
So because of COVID, that became a bit of a shit show, but no matter, because India are back. This is their first appearance in the competition, having gone through that qualifying stage, and coming out on top. The team's best finish was third in no sorry second in the home. They made it to the finals in the home tournament in 1980. Since then, like they, I think consecutively for 3 years, India finished second slash third, and since then, India's dominance in women's football has obviously declined. In terms of like news around the team, I think the fact that Amelia Valverde was hired to be the new manager was something that sort of created a bit of buzz. A, because it is so close to like a major tournament, um, and B, because it signaled some kind of ambition from the federation, because she is a coach who comes with a wealth of experience. Um, she has taken Costa Rica to two World Cups, once in 2015 and the most recent one in 2023. So she's obviously like somebody who is used to taking teams to that big stage. In terms of recent performances, listen, um, obviously India qualified under a different coach, but they were drawn in Group B along with Thailand, Mongolia, Timor Leste, and Iraq. Thailand was a higher seeded team in that group, and India kind of managed to scrape past them. Although they had like really solid performances against the rest of the teams in the group. Um, Not really sure how India will play under the new manager, but they have played a bunch of practice games in Turkey as well as in Australia, some with other countries, some with like local clubs and things like that. Um, which is good news because the change of a manager happened so close to a major tournament, right? So I was a bit concerned. So I haven't seen the team play under this coach, but I feel like knowing how Valde sets up her team, um, basically what we can expect is India to play a defensive, organized kind of football. She is very flexible, but India as a team, we know that India thrive on transitions, and Valverde has done well in the past to coach teams that have those strengths. So I'm hoping that India can be defensively organized and can hurt teams on the counter. Hopefully, not concede 2 goals, and hopefully get that make it into the quarterfinal somehow.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would be incredibly happy if India could go through like a World Cup qualifiers, but
Yeah, I
again,
mean,
like I
like,
said,
this is also like a storied manager, right? Like, she's managed like teams like Costa Rica, which is a really decent team in like the CACACAF thing, and like she
CONCACAF,
CONCACAF,
yeah.
damn it, um,
Yeah.
uh, and like in 2016 and all, she was coach of the year and shit. Like, from what I know, she's apparently like really, really storied manager in terms of what India could get as a manager. She's possibly the best it could get.
Absolutely. Yeah, very excited about this one. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of this episode. We know it's a bit long, but do do check out our video, check out the channel. We will be putting out another episode on players to watch out for in the tournament, and maybe a deep dive into the Indian team as well. So do keep an eye out and please subscribe to the channel. It will really help us get some visibility, and hopefully we'll get to watch the games with a bunch of people in the live watch alongs as well. Uh, do tune in. But until the next episode, bye from us.